For now, though, what I'd like to do is kind of show you a little bit of what's happening here, in this area, also here, because here is here. Okay, cool. Oh, Roxy Relmer, hello. I saw you earlier. I have this here actually because I wanted to talk about drones. The Relmer was flying this earlier today over in Long Beach, which was pretty sweet. Yeah, OBS has a lot of settings. It's great. This has been an issue I've had the last 2 weeks. Before we jump too far into it though, I do want to explain what I'm doing here and why this noise is happening, and then we can kind of go into other things as we wait for this. So several months back, I posted a video where I did an XYZ Calibration Cube challenge. That's basically where a 3D printer prints a tiny 20mm cube that has the letters X, Y, and Z printed on different sides of it. And it's just a way to see how calibrated your printers are. And so I ran that test through this one, which is the Prusa Mark II. I ran it through 2 of the Monoprice Minis, and then I also did it on the Maker Select Plus, which I was repairing on a live stream a few weeks ago. And we kind of saw the results of that. The Prusa obviously beat out everybody, but that was like last summer. I've had issues, I've changed things on printers since then, and I've had a lot of people actually ask me to redo that challenge now just to see how accurate it was. Was that a one-time thing? Was it not? And so I'm actually printing the calibration cubes now. Let me see if I can bring those up to you. Alright, so there you go. You can kind of see a little bit more of a close-up on the Prusa. I did start these a little bit before the stream because I didn't want you to have to wait the whole way through. Both printers are about 20% through. So the reason I am doing these 2 printers is I really wanted to feature the Prusa because they just came out with the Mark III, which is a new updated version, and I was like, this printer will never make me want another 3D printer. And then the Mark III came out, and now I like really want one. But I wanted to feature, because this, which they also dropped in price like several $100s, it's such a good printer. So it used to be between $800 and $1,000, and now I think it's closer to $600 to $800, depending if you get a kit or a fully assembled version. Whereas this printer, the Monoprice Mini, this is the version 1, there's now a version 2. This is $150 to $200. So again, huge difference in price, and I want to see the quality of prints. I made this same test against the little Delta printer that I had, but that's a totally different style of printer. These 2, even though they're very different, the basics are actually the same. This is sort of a smaller version of what this does. There's obviously some differences. This printer is just so good though, that I wanted to kind of feature that. And just to mention, both of them are using the exact same files that they used for the last video I made. If you didn't see that, there is a link down in the description. There's also a link to this cube on Thingiverse, so if you wanted to download the file and print it yourself, the exact one I used is there. It's not my design, it's just one I downloaded. And both printers are using silver Hatchbox PLA, so it's the exact same filament with the exact same file. So I want to see how they work. So, that being said, let me see if I can get like a slightly better view here for you. It's always a little hard with this, but if you can kind of see where this one's at. There we go. The Prusa is looking quite good, and then if I come over here to the Mini, it's still pretty hard to see, but they're pretty neck and neck. Trying to transition out. Wow. Sorry about that. My OBS is acting very strange today. We'll give you a nice view of this though in the meantime. There we go. Okay. So I feel pretty obligated whenever I do anything about 3D printing to actually show you what the printer's doing. Otherwise, what's the point? So the Realmer's asking, do different filaments make the printer print faster? The speed is adjusted in the printer. The faster it prints, the lower the quality can get. So right now they're both set at 100%, which is just kind of their standard speed. It could go up to, you could increase that and they'll print faster, but then the quality will decrease. So I like to leave it at 100. The filaments are just different colors, different materials. I should also mention, I got a very helpful comment explaining that up here where I have my filaments stored is probably the worst way you can store them, where they're just out in the open and this is a garage. And that is true. I should not be storing PLA filament this way because it can get affected by weather and temperature. My goal is to kind of reorganize things, especially as I'm filming more out here, put those in more temperature controlled containers. But this space is pretty consistent in terms of temperature and humidity, so they've been out here for over a year and there's not a lot of issues that I've had. But it is true, you really shouldn't just have your PLA like out in the fresh air. So yeah, the filaments just affect the end result. They don't really affect the printer's speeds or anything along those lines. But here's kind of an example of what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can sort of show you here. Much better, okay. So this is a model that came with the Prusa. So when you buy the Prusa, it comes with a few sample prints that are on the SD card, and this is one of them. And it's all one piece, and it's a gear that spins. But it prints as one piece, and hopefully you can kind of see, maybe even hear, how smooth it is. It really is almost like ball bearings, like metallic ball bearings would spin like that. And the crazy thing about that is the way that this printer prints this, it prints it out and you can literally just pop it off the plate and spin it. It's that precise and it's that clean, or I didn't have to break this apart, I didn't have to heat it, I didn't have to cut anything. It was literally just pop it off and this is what happened. That's amazing. I've tried doing similar things on other printers, and it really takes a lot of time where you have to like work through the moving parts, and it's sort of a pain. They never get this smooth. This is like so nice. So just kind of, I just love this printer, and the new version just seems to make it even better. So let's see, these prints were upwards of about 30% through. As soon as those are done, all that is needed is to take a pair of calipers and just measure each side of the cube to see the size. They should be 20 millimeters. The goal is that they're 20 millimeter cubes. There's a number of steps you can take to troubleshoot if that's not the case. And then of course you're also looking for clarity. You know, are the letters melty and gross looking? Is everything crisp and clean? Are the corners nice and sharp? Are they kind of rounded and melted? Are there holes in the top layers and the side layers? Is it nice and solid like it should be? So you're doing sort of a visual inspection and then measuring it. And there's no, I mean, a lot of times, especially with the 3D printer I have at my classroom, people come in and they're like, what are you printing? What are you printing? And like half the time I'm like, oh, it's a calibration thing, or it's a benchy, or it's a whatever to test the printer because I've changed some setting and now I need to test it. And that is something, if you're interested at all in 3D printing, you do need to get into the hobby understanding that it's a tinkering hobby. Maybe in a few years it'll be very like, not, you don't have to do that. But right now, if you buy a 3D printer, part of what you're going to be doing is tinkering with it, and parts are going to break, and you're going to need to fix it, repair it, modify it, upgrade it. And that's part of the fun, is understanding how it all works. It's actually not a bad thing at all. It builds your skills, it gives you an understanding of the machinery, and it helps you kind of utilize things a little bit differently. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at there. What I also want to point out, let me think. While we're waiting on these, the reason that I have this here, which is not a 3D printer or a 3D printed project at all, this is actually the DJI Mavic, which I'm sure anybody who flies drones or is interested in drone videos has to pretty much be familiar with the Mavic, because it's a very popular, very good drone that shoots 4K and is quite reliable. And it's truly fantastic. And DJI just came out with a new member of the Mavic family, the Air, which looks really cool and is even smaller. You can tell this one kind of folded up. And I've noticed a lot of people, whenever somebody subscribes to my channel, I hope this is okay, I hope it's not too weird, but when I get notifications that people subscribe, first of all, I should mention, if you have it set on your account, when you subscribe to channels, it will let that person know that you subscribe. You can turn that off, and then no one will know what channels you're subscribed to. But anytime I get notifications that say a certain user subscribed to your channel, I click on their channel and see what they're doing, because a lot of people are users who like to view things and they just have different channels they're subscribed to. But every once in a while it'll be someone who has their own channel, and I like to see what kind of videos they're making, so I know I found a couple of really cool channels that I like that way. But also it's nice to know, oh, these are people watching me, this is what they're interested in, this is what I'm interested in, this is maybe how, like, you know, I can make sure that I'm addressing the stuff they're interested in with my videos. And one thing I've noticed lately, probably in the last week or so, is I've gotten a lot of people subscribing that have a lot of drone videos on their channels. So if you're new to my channel and you're like, oh cool, what is this channel about? And now I'm doing 3D printers and you're not interested in 3D printers, please know that drones and tech and filmmaking are also a big part of tools that I use and stuff that I do on this channel. And what I wanted to bring up specifically was, we were talking about this earlier today. What's up, Optimus Jack? It's really nice to see your screen name here. We were flying this earlier today, and there's a native setting within the Mavic through the DJI app that lets you live stream from the drone directly to YouTube, which is pretty cool. And it's not something that I've tried yet or set up yet, but I'd really like to. And so, as far as I understand it, the drone is up flying around, capturing video. These have no microphones because it would make no sense for them to do audio. But your phone is connected to the controller, and the app pulls the audio from your phone. So you're providing the audio, and then there's video. I would really like to run through trying to do a live stream that way, just to see how it works, so you can see how it works, so anybody else who has questions about it can kind of see what it's like, because it'd be a really cool way to live stream events. If you could have a drone, like right now I'm switching on my computer between OBS sources. If I could have one of the sources instead of just this camera and this camera, if I could have a drone also being a source, that would be super cool. And the fact that you can just live stream directly from here natively is pretty awesome. So probably in the next week, I'd like to do a live stream where I'm trying to stream from the Mavic. So I'm telling you that in advance just so you can know, but also in case something goes really wrong, if you get a notice of a live stream and it's like this weird drone footage with no audio or something, just know that that's what I'm trying to do. But I think that that would be a really awesome thing to play with, and I haven't seen a lot of info about that yet. So that's something that I definitely want to explore. Because the whole reason that I bought this drone, I bought this last summer because I'm going on a big trip to Iceland this summer, Iceland and Switzerland. And I want to travel with a drone, and I want to get like crazy nature shots with a drone. And so I bought this last summer so I could get to know it very well. That was when I got my FAA commercial drone license. And I was like, oh, you know what? That's a good time to like treat myself to a really nice drone. And I've been trying to use it as much as I can between then and now, because time is going to be very quick and weather's going to be crazy, and I want to be able to use things very, very quickly. So that's why I bought this drone. I'm very tempted now that it's like tax return time and DJI just released the Air to be like, hey, wouldn't having a backup drone be cool? But it's probably not necessary. So anyway, that's another thing that you can probably look forward to hopefully next week. I'm trying to navigate the live streams just to see what's best. I really like doing something during a live stream because, to be totally honest with you, I don't have the audience to like, hey, I'm just going to do a live stream and like 50 people are going to watch and ask questions and stuff. It's just not there yet, so I don't want dead air. So I like to do something, you know, show something, provide something, review something, build something during live streams so that they're of value. And if someone were to go back and watch them, it would be of value later. And so 3D printing is a good way to do that, because when the print's done, it's kind of a natural like story arc. So speaking of, these are about 40%, so almost halfway done. Let me show you a little bit of an update on where they're at right now. Should change any second. This is very strange. See, this scares me because This computer is a few years old, but it runs so great. And while I'm waiting for it to change, you can probably see that there are ports being used everywhere, and I like that this is still a MacBook that has all the ports in it. So I don't want anything to happen to it, but it's kind of seeming like it's getting a little slow. This thing has been all over the country with me. It has done so many events. This has been like my best friend for a long time. I sure hope that while this is spinning, it's still streaming. There we go. Okay, so this is kind of where we're at now. Let me see if I can give you better shots. Of course. There you go. You can kind of get an example. So you can sort of see letters coming in there. Maybe. Yeah. Which is looking pretty clean. If I come over here on the Mini, it's about the same point. These are both looking pretty good. I'm noticing kind of an issue on the, almost looks like there's a weird layer issue on the Prusa, which we'll have to explore when it's done. It could have been because I bumped it to it was printing, so that could totally be my fault. The Mini's looking super clean. This is actually the very first 3D printer I ever bought, November of 2016, and it's been plugging along great. I'm just using blue masking tape on the bed to adhere the prints. What I really like to do, I have another Mini that I put a glass bed on, and whenever this stops working well, I'd like to show you how to put a glass bed, how to cut the glass and size it and put it on there. But this is working, so I'm not gonna mess with it for right now. Oh, Optimus Jag, what's up? I've done 3D printing before at the Long Beach Library. I have a Tinkercad account. Yes, so Tinkercad is the perfect place to start. That's where I'm at. There's even another, if you look up CHEP, C-H-E-P 3D printing, there's a guy named Chuck Hellebuck that has an awesome 3D printing channel where every Friday he kind of walks you through a project. All of his stuff is based in Tinkercad, and he does some pretty impressive and advanced custom things, and he mixes them with electronics. So Tinkercad, even though it seems basic and it's free, is such an awesome resource. Plus it's online based. I use Tinkercad all the time. But that's cool. Like, I don't know, does the library have printers that you can use? That would be like, man, if I didn't have 3D printers and I had a library that I could go 3D print stuff at, I would shut down that library like every day. Oh, what? Let's go, boy. Thanks for saying I have good content. I will try to keep up the good work. I appreciate everybody, including you, who creates content. I'll pretend that I have no idea who you are. The Realmer... Oh, wait, did you say a 3D... Oh, a 3D pen. Oh, see, I was just talking to someone about 3D pens the other day, because it's basically a pen that has, it's almost like a hot glue gun, but you run filament through it, and then you can kind of like, instead of this being automated, it's your hand trying to do things. Obviously the precision isn't there, but the flexibility is increased. I've never used one because I don't know how you can really do stuff with them, but I'm kind of curious. I'd sort of like to mess with one and play with them a little bit, because those seem pretty awesome. Let me check. I'm just noticing on my screen here that the stream looks kind of crummy in terms of quality. Okay, good. Sorry. I got real nervous because on my computer it looks like an internet video from 1998 where it's just all pixels, but the rest of the stream seems fine. So, yeah, this is kind of where we're at for right now. What else is happening here that we can go over? Let's see, if I weren't going to Iceland next summer, what I would absolutely do is buy the Mark III, because here's why this printer is great. First of all, anything you can see on here that's orange, and even a lot of the black parts, are 3D printed. They're 3D printed by Prusa research in the Czech Republic, in Europe somewhere, buy these same printers. So they have their own printers printing their own printers to sell, which is kind of mind-blowing and crazy. But to me, that's like, you really stand behind your product if you're trusting your product to create your product. And this printer, I've had it for just over a year, and literally just straight out of the box has been the best printer. So for a few reasons. The big one is everything on this is ultra high quality. You'll see lots of 3D printers that have this style and this design, but they use a lot of lower quality parts, which is why the price is lower. This one's a little more expensive, but everything is very high quality, which not only boosts the safety and reliability, but also the overall quality of the prints. Again, getting something like this, where you can pull it off the bed and it automatically spins and is like perfect, is not something you can get out of a lot of printers straight out of the box, but this one you can. It also just has a lot of features that are nice, like the self-leveling bed that actually works, where before it starts a print, the print head goes and measures 9 different points on this print bed to level it out and adjust for any problems, so that way your prints are nice and level. It's got all kinds of sensors for like temperature issues or printer issues. It's also just super consistent. It's crazy. The Mini, when you watch that, it kind of takes a while for the filament to stick and it sort of drags around little like stringy things. This one, as soon as it starts and lays down a print, it just sticks to the surface. It's just, from the moment you turn it on, it's just a higher quality printer than anything I've ever used. And the Mark III, the new one, just kind of takes that and adds all kinds of bells and whistles. One of the biggest, which I'm really envious of, is the build surface. This is a PEI sheet, which is sort of like this material that lets things stick to it but also be pulled off from pretty easily. But sometimes prints can kind of stick to it. You got to really like be careful not to touch it. Clean it a lot with alcohol wipes before you print. The new one has like this crazy print surface that's actually held on by magnets. And so when a print is done, you can pop off the whole surface, bend it, and the print will just pop right off, which is great, because not on this printer, but on other printers, I've ruined prints trying to take them off. So you spend like 12 hours printing something, and then you're trying to get it off the bed, and it breaks, and you're like, why? Not have that issue with this printer. So just all around such a good printer, and I'd love to have a second one, but as I mentioned, I've got some trips coming up, so in addition to just being a responsible adult and saving money, I need to like finish paying off a few parts for those trips. Right now I have like going flights but no return flights, and like hotel rooms for part of it but nowhere to stay for the rest of it, and so I kind of want to like get that stuff taken care of. Oh, thanks Mike Alvarez for saying nice shirt. I like this shirt because it's subtle, you know. Actually, I'm literally in swimming trunks right now because I just like we got home from a trip to Anaheim and LA over the weekend just a few hours ago, and so I was really tired, and I just didn't, I'm behind the thing so you can't see what I'm wearing. But that was, yes, so my nice subtle shirt. Aquabats, the best band in the world. I'm gonna try to transition over again. Yay, it did it quickly, it didn't freeze. So there you go, you can kind of see the print a little bit better now. Kind of see what's happening a little better. I'm actually gonna try something real quick. So if you're curious, actually, this might be sort of interesting, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. This is like low-tech screen sharing, but here's my OBS setup that I'm kind of going for. So you've got a preview window and then a live window. Whoa. Ooh. That's cool. So anyway, you can set up, down here you can set up different scenes. Sorry. So I have different shots set up, like a wide shot. It's like this is a wide shot that has a little close-up down in the corner, and then the chat. And then I also have the option to do this camera, which is usually for a close-up with chat and a thing. You can also bring up, the title that I use. at the beginning and end of streams, you can customize your own shots. So I'm kind of always playing around with those. But that's what I mean when I click this little transition button that's in the middle here. For some reason today, it's been causing the computer to freeze up a little bit, which I'm not crazy about. But anyway, that's not your problem, it's my problem. I just want you to be able to see what's happening here. Let's see. Hey, look, this little spinny thing came in handy. There we go. So there's kind of a better view of the Prusa. Now what I mentioned earlier, I said that there was an issue, and I don't know if you guys can see, but there's kind of a line towards the bottom of the Y, and it looks like it's almost like a weird layer shift thing. I think while it was printing that part, since I was talking, I might have bumped the printer and moved it, and it might have thrown things off a little bit, which was a stupid thing to do on my part. But we'll see. So that's the Prusa. Other than that, that print is looking nice and clean. So everything here, like I mentioned, all of these orange parts are actually 3D printed. They're in ABS, not PLA. Let's go check on the Mini. So the Mini is looking pretty dang sharp. I know the focus is a little funky on that camera, but it's looking pretty good. The thing that I have learned from playing with both of these types of printers is that I genuinely prefer this type of print head setup as opposed to this one, which is a Bowden tube. And so the reason for that, let me put this back here so you guys can see stuff. When you're just starting out, you kind of just got to start somewhere. But the reason that I prefer this as opposed to this, what you might notice, the filament is just going straight down into the print head, whereas here there's this tube that's pulling it down. There's an extruder up here that kind of pulls the filament, feeds it through this tube down into the hot end where it melts and then gets printed. Here, the extruder and the hot end are all one piece. The reason that I like that better is because loading the filament, if something happens and the filament snaps or runs out or breaks or whatever, it's so much easier to replace it and fill it and change it on this. Whereas here, a lot of times what will happen, especially if I don't use the printer for a couple days and I'm dumb and I leave the filament in, which, like, spoiler alert, I'm dumb. This breaks and then your filament gets stuck in here, and the only way to do that is to take this whole little thing apart, unscrew the tube, pull it out. It doesn't cause any problems with printing, it just makes maintenance a nightmare. I've had to take these hot ends apart, take the fans off so many times, whereas I've never had to do that once on either of the printers I have that are this style. So I highly prefer this in the end. But when you're just starting out, you got to start somewhere. And this printer, especially if you read the directions and follow through the Monoprice Select Mini version 1 or version 2, they're really great first 3D printers. The biggest complaint people have about them is that the print surface is small. So here on the Prusa, you can see the size of this bed. That's about as big of a print as you can get. It's pretty big. This one, you can see the size of this bed, significantly smaller. That's the size of a print. I don't think you can get mad about that because it literally has Mini in the name. So, like, I ordered the Mini. Oh, and the prints are Mini. Oh no. Dang. Optimus Jack, what do I use to make my thumbnails? I use Photoshop to make my thumbnails. I've been taking, since I got the iPhone 8 Plus, not to sound like too much of a corporate shill, but it has that super sweet portrait mode. So like the thumbnail for this video that's up now, I just use portrait mode because it like gives that nice blurry background and makes things look interesting. And then I just throw that in Photoshop to resize it and put it up. For live streams, then I go back after the stream and add in a thumbnail from the stream so you can see what actually happened. For my regular videos, I use Photoshop as well, and then I usually just do Procreate on the iPad to do some lettering for the titles. But the answer is Photoshop. There's lots of things. I know Heather uses Canva, I believe, and her thumbnails tend to be a little more clear and to the point. Like, they're probably better thumbnails than mine, but I use Photoshop for everything. It's the best. And then Mike's saying, did I fix the sound delay? I fixed the weird echoey thing. As far as the delay goes, this should be pretty accurate. I think when I switch to this camera, there's a weird delay. I'm still working on it. My actual goal is to really turn this space here into much more of a filming space. This kind of was very impromptu a few weeks ago, but I would like to actually set this up as more of a permanent like workshop filming area. And when I do that, I would like to continue to improve my live stream setup, which, you know, when I started was just the webcam on the computer. Now at least there's several other cameras that are higher quality, better quality sound, but I'd like to, now my problem is it's so much technical stuff. I'd like to find ways to eliminate those problems so I can switch between shots easily, reliably, not have sound and sync issues. So it just takes time is all. And then Let's Go Boy, what I'm printing right now is a little XYZ Calibration Cube to see how well these printers are calibrated. This printer cost me $1,000 because I ordered the assembled version. This one cost $150. So it's very interesting to see how they compare. Not only are they set up to print correctly, but like, is the $150 printer comparable to the $1,000 printer, which it totally is. But there are a lot of reasons to choose the expensive one. Oh, and Mike said video delay on the webcam. Still doing it. Sometimes if I'm really smart, I try to speak ahead. Like, if I know I'm going to show you something, I'll say like, look at the filament. And then I'll move the camera towards it like later to try to like fix the delay. But that's super ghetto. So I need to go in. It's just all in OBS. You can sync things up, different video and sound and frame rates. It's just, I had it all set and then something switched and it like got unset. But I can't complain. I love OBS and it's totally free, so I'm not going to complain about it at all. Let's jump here, see how this print is looking. We're now at 72%, so we're getting there. Both of these are actually looking pretty good. The Mini seems to be going a little faster. The Mini's at 73%. The Prusa's at 72%. I have my Prusa set to print at 100% speed, which seems slow compared to other printers because I actually started this one maybe like 10 minutes after this, and it's already 1% further along. But I haven't adjusted the speed because the quality is so good. So that's kind of where we're at there. Capture the moment. What's up? It's nice to see you. How are things going? I hope your freelance work is going well. Building all those skills and things. Let's see. What else did I need to update you all on? If you haven't checked it out, please be sure to go check out the video that I posted last Tuesday, which is 5 things I learned from Peter McKinnon. Probably should have been a little more clear on that. They're not 5 technical skills, they're 5 like personal qualities that I've learned from watching Peter's videos over the last year. I've learned a ton of technical things from him, but it's mostly been the philosophical things that have really benefited, that I feel have benefited me the most. And then I should have also mentioned, which I regret that I didn't in the video, the 5th thing that I mentioned I learned from Peter McKinnon is to share what you know, which is obviously something that I like to do, and it's kind of the whole point of me starting my own channel. But the reason that kind of sparked my idea was because I started using some of Peter's materials in my classes, and it works really well, and I like it, and students seem to like it. and it's really cool to be able to incorporate that, and I think that is really neat. And I think it's really cool that I am able to find resources and people like Peter McKinnon, who I admire and who I like their work, and then I can bring that in and actually incorporate it into a curriculum. And I don't know if I was clear enough about that in the video, but it's a good video, and I think the 5 points are good points, especially if you're somebody who's trying to create anything or start a channel or make stuff or learning new skills. So if you haven't checked that out, go watch my video from this past Tuesday, which is 5 things I learned from Peter McKinnon. Let's see, capture the moment, things are going good, just winging it here and there. That is, I don't know that I would tell your clients that you like to wing it so much, but you are definitely one of the few people who can wing it and succeed. I cannot, so I wouldn't recommend it, but if you can do it, you know, if you got it, flaunt it. All right, so here we are, 77% of the way through the print on the Prusa, 78% of the way on the Mini. Also, I've got a whole list going on of ideas for live stream, stuff like I mentioned earlier with using the Mavic, trying to figure out how to live stream from there, stuff involving music, more 3D prints, more lettering, you know, live edits and things. But if you guys have any ideas for things to incorporate into live streams, specifically to take advantage of live stream format where I can interact with people in real time, or maybe share things in a little more long form, please let me know, because I would love to come up with, you know, I don't want to just turn on the camera and be like, hey, I got nothing to talk about for like an hour, what's up? I want to, and I don't have the audience yet to like have an ongoing thing. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. And if there's anything you want to see in pre-recorded videos, let me know. The whole reason I'm doing this is because I had several people request a follow-up to the original video I did, which is linked down in the description. And instead of doing an edited version, I decided that I wanted to do a follow-up one. Well, hello.
Hi. Did you say capture the moment?
Yeah.
Is that Jasmine?
Capture the moment is Damien. Oh. Oh, never mind. I thought we were going to have a special guest.
You should say hi.
You should say hi, because you can see you when you open the door.
Oh, really?
Yeah, here. Let me transition over to you. There we go.
Whoa. Here?
Yeah.
So much happening.
There's a lot going on.
There's so much going on over there, too.
Remember when I talked about ADD?
Yes.
This is it.
You have multiple moving parts.
It's a lot, and there's noise, and there's all kinds of stuff, and there's a drone. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But we're getting close to the end. Now, Capture the Moment is my former student who started his own like media company.
Because Capture the Moment, that's also Jasmine, and I thought she was. Hi, the roamer.
Yeah, and the roamer's on there, which is cool because she was literally just flying this drone.
I know.
Earlier
this
today.
one right here.
Which is kind of trippy. And I just see Foxy Playa. What do you prefer, OBS or Wirecast? I've never used Wirecast. I've only used OBS.
OBS. I've used both of them. OBS.
No. Why?
Wirecast, I can't remember why, because it's been so long, but Wirecast you had to pay for to do a lot of the things that you can do on OBS for free.
See, and I would trust, because what I said was I didn't want us to do live streams where I just turn on the camera and go like, hey, because I didn't have the audience for it. But
you're paid just to take the branding off.
No, okay, that sucks.
Yeah.
But my point was your channel is big enough that when you were doing Heather's Happy Hour, you could literally start your stream and people would tune in, and even if there wasn't anything planned, you could get into these awesome conversations because the audience was there. And you did how many live streams, weekly live streams?
50 something.
Yeah. And you've done probably close to 100 live streams.
I have no idea.
Total?
Probably more.
Or more. So anyway, point is,
a lot.
I would trust her opinion on things.
Yeah, OBS for sure.
Yeah, I use OBS just because it was the first one I used when we started doing YouTube streams at my school, and I just gravitated towards it on my own.
Okay, I'm gonna
skedaddle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
It's like the Tonight Show. I don't have a video off. See, it's really nice to have someone you have access to at all times that can just give you input and feedback on these things. It's really helpful. Oh wow, it looks like the stream had issues as soon as Heather walked out. She must have crashed it with her awesomeness. But anyway, there's our print. It's almost done. 85%, so it's going pretty quick. Yeah, I definitely prefer OBS right now. What I really like about OBS is it can be a total pain. I feel like you do pay for the fact that it's free because it's not as polished in some areas as I'd like it, but it's also so open that if you have an idea of something you want to do in your stream, through OBS you can do it. And a lot of the ways that you can switch between scenes, switch between shots, compose things, like the fact I have a main window here and a chat window and a close-up window. Sorry, I should have done that better. The fact that I have a main window here and a chat window and a close-up window, if you're doing a physical switcher that you would have to buy for like a TV station kind of thing, that's going to cost you anywhere between $2,000 and $8,000 or more, whereas this is $0. So it's really hard to argue with that, and that's why when there's little frustrations with it, it's like I'm totally not frustrated at all, actually. OBS is great for live streaming. It's even great for doing like cuts to tape. If you had someone to operate it and you're doing like a multi-camera interview or something, you could just like basically record straight to disk and not have to edit using OBS, which is pretty rad, if I do say so myself. Let me think. There were a couple other things that I wanted to mention. Here's something that I definitely do want to mention because we're talking about audiences. Yesterday, Heather and I went to the wedding of James and Mark Lee. Hashtag legally married. And James has popped into my live chats a few times. He's also really helped me grow my channel, especially in like the early days, several months ago. He does a mukbang, like I Eat You Watch channel. It's really awesome. If you look for, I think it's just James Lee. James L.E. is his channel. I'll edit this and add a description down below. But anyway, he just got married yesterday, so congratulations to James and Mark. The wedding was awesome. Food was easily the best food I've had at any wedding. It was all stuff that, like, a lot of it was stuff I didn't know what it was, but I trusted your judgment, ate it, and it was delicious, and then I ate a lot of Heather's food too that she didn't finish. But a really good example is literally, I was sitting waiting for the wedding to start, and it was like minutes away, and suddenly my phone buzzed, and Heather was in the wedding, so I actually had her phone, and I was like, who's going to be buzzing me? And it was a notification that James Lee is live, because they decided to do a live stream right before their wedding. So it's like, oh, okay, I'll watch a live stream of the thing that I'm going to see. But immediately it was like 45, 50 people watching. And obviously it's a big event. But with those kind of numbers, it's much easier to engage in a conversation, and that's what I'd like to build, is to really take advantage of the live platform. James and Mark do that really, really well. I really recommend their channel, even if watching someone eat doesn't sound like, why would I want to do that? Just watch. It's so engaging and fun, and their personalities are great. I can't recommend enough. I just got a notification that Foxy Player subscribed, so thank you so much for that. It is really gratifying to see subscription numbers go up when they're genuine, especially because YouTube is now using that as a metric to kind of validate your channel. I had no idea starting a YouTube channel last summer that it was so hard to grow a channel if you wanted to take it seriously, because you kind of think like, oh man, channels just grow, but it really takes a lot of work. Just because you put something on the internet does not mean people see it, and so it's very gratifying to kind of like see things grow. I feel like this channel's hitting a nice stride right now that I'm quite proud of, and I feel like the first few months were like level 1, where I was figuring out what's happening. Second few months were like level 2, where it was sort of figuring out, okay, what's the brand and the focus. And now I feel like I'm in level 3, where stuff I'm working on and the videos I have ideas for are like the next level, which is so great. I'm really, really excited. I wish I had a lot more time to just make stuff like every single day, but I have some really exciting stuff planned and in the works, so make sure every Tuesday you check out the new video for that week, and then every Sunday the live stream. And here we go, 93%. It is a race to the finish. This one's at 96%, so that'll finish first. Let's bring it up here. Let's transition over so you can see. I'm actually gonna move this. This one should finish first. Sorry, I had to see my hand there like that. I almost need like a second camera here, because it's sort of hard to see what's happening. But anyway, there's the basics of the print. It's almost done. Just finishing up those top layers right now. And this guy's doing a little jig over here. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. There you go, that looks good. You can see what's happening right there. What else? Growing channels, live streams. I really just want to measure these cubes. It's so sad. If you're into 3D printing, one of the things you need to buy is a pair of digital calipers. These are these super cheap ones from Harbor Freight. I think they're $10. They are nothing fancy, but they let you get accurate measurements very quickly. Just notice the Mini is finished. Let's measure that guy real quick. Let me put this camera back on a little tripod. I'm sorry that the close-up looks insane right now. You can see my fantastic footwear. It's the 2018 flip-flop look. Yes. Alright. So here we go. Here's the cube that the Mini just finished. And so when I was mentioning getting items off of the build plate, the Mini's pretty good. You can kind of just grab it, pop it off. And then what you see too is there's a little ring here. This is when the print starts to get the filament flowing. The Mini usually outlines the print, and then that just comes off. Ow. And goes right under your fingernail, which hurts. So there we go. So now this printer is ready to go again. Turn it off for safety. Ooh, and the Prusa just finished as well. So this is perfect. Let me measure the print that just came from the Mini. So here we go. Here's the cube. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty clearly. This is the one from the Mini. There's the Z, the X, and the Y. It prints with the Z on top, and so the Y is on the side. This looks fantastic. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but this side here is super smooth. It has like a really nice smooth texture. The first layer's pretty well done. There's a couple imperfections, and the top layer's nice. There are no holes or anything. Now the key is to measure it. So I've set my calipers to 0. I don't know if you can see that. They're set to 0. And then, let me reset it to 0. And then I just open them up and measure it. So that's not bad. On this side here, it's 20.03. It's supposed to be 20 millimeters. On the Z side, let's do X. X is 1994. The bottom, 20.08. I guess that, I don't need to keep measuring those. And on the Y, we're at 20.75. So none are 20 exactly, but they're all less than a millimeter off, which isn't bad. And I can tell you, I don't know if you can see in the camera, I'm sorry you get to see my fingers like covering everything up, but if you look here, the corners are pretty darn pointy. This is quite square, quite cubical, which is great. Like that's exactly how it should be. So now let's compare that to the Prusa, which I'm just gonna walk over here, pop this off. If you noticed how easy that popped off. And here's the thing with the Prusa. If you look at this first layer, I really hope that it will focus on it. Focus, focus, focus. Not on my hands. There we go. The texture of that first layer, that is a perfect first layer. And the top layer again, where the Z is, there are no holes. and the sides. The one thing you will notice, which I'm sure is my fault and I might need to do another print, is this line that's towards the bottom here. That goes all the way around. I think I bumped the printer while it was printing and it kind of threw things off a little bit. Otherwise, it's really clean. So let's kind of compare here. Oh wow, I notice actually a difference. Let me see if I can show this to you guys. So here we go. The Prusa is on the left. The Mini is on the right. And I don't know if you can see this clearly. Ignoring the line that goes through the Y, since that's probably my fault. The Mini one, I can see the layers more clearly. I can also see this weird outline around the Y. Whereas the Prusa, it looks like the Y was just carved directly into the plastic, which is pretty cool. So let's compare the Z's. Prusa on the left, Mini on the right, if I can manage it. This is just easier than me having to show you my fingers the whole time. So there we go, there's the Z side of the print. And again, both look really good. I definitely notice an increased level of like precision in the Prusa. Let's see here, Foxy Player, 2018 flip-flop, yeah, that's my jam. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna turn off this wide one because I notice I'm getting a little flashing battery thingy happening here. Sorry guys. There we go. I'm just gonna turn that off because I know that camera's about to die. I'll change it in a second. So there's the Z side, and last but not least, we'll do the X side. So again, Prusa on the left, Mini on the right. The X side on the Prusa looks like it has a few imperfections. This is all done with the exact same settings, which are just the settings recommended on the print file from Thingiverse, which is in the description below. Oh, there you go. So ignoring that line, again, both are great. Please remember, this printer costs $1,000, this costs $150. I can see a little more detail in person, but man, it is really close. And now the big thing is measurements. So just to kind of do this very accurately, we're gonna start with the Z-axis. I know I already measured the Mini, but we'll do it again. The Mini came up with 20.22. It's supposed to be 20 exactly. The Prusa is 1992. So the Prusa is a little bit closer to perfect than the Mini on that one. Let's do it with the Y. On the Mini, the Y measures 1989. Isn't that a Taylor Swift album? So 1989 for the Mini. The Prusa measures 1996. That is almost exact. So that's really impressive. And then let's do, last but not least, the X. You wanted the X measurements? Well, X gonna give it to you. So X, 1983. It's 2 years before I was born. This is the Mini. And from the Prusa, 1993. What did I start first grade that year? 93, 94. So the Prusa, you can see, is more precise. I can go through and kind of play with the Mini to give it some, to kind of calibrate it a little more. But there you go. Now, what I'd like to do, or what I can do, I'll give you a tour here. So I've had this charging here because I was doing some filming yesterday and I forgot to charge my battery in time. So now I'm going to take this battery, fill out this camera here. Everything on this is the Canon 6D Mark II, which I absolutely love. I did a whole video about this camera and why I like it so much. It's like, a lot of people say it's the perfect YouTube camera, which it 100% is the perfect YouTube camera, but it's also like just such a great camera. I feel like limiting a camera to just YouTube is almost degrading to the camera. But now we should be able to jump back. Yay, my battery's back. So that's kind of fantastic. So there we go. that kind of wraps things up. Let me check in with comments. So what we'll notice, I'll post some results. I'll post these results in the description. I'll edit it so anybody who watches this later can get those. Short summary here. Both printers, very well done. So neither one did a bad job. The Mini really holds its own, especially considering its much lower price point. The Prusa, definitely more accurate. So if you need to do precision things, it's much easier to get precision parts out of this. Even this filament holder that's at the top here is something I 3D printed, again, with like moving parts and things, which is, it's just kind of awesome. I love this printer. But I really love this printer too, and without this, I wouldn't have gotten interested in 3D printing at all. So I owe a lot to that little printer there. So that's kind of it. I really appreciate you guys watching. We're just at about an hour right now. So just a couple reminders before we wrap it up. In the next week or so, you should see, maybe by next Sunday, trying to live stream from the DJI Mavic. If I do that next Sunday, it might mean the stream is a little earlier because I would like it to be daylight outside when I stream from this, just because this isn't very great at night. Plus, it's not super safe to fly them at night anyway. Otherwise, it'd be 7 o'clock. If you follow @SodarnTom on Instagram especially, but also Twitter, usually on Sundays I try to post updates about what's happening on the live stream for later that day, so you can kind of get an idea, because I really like being able to share things in real time with you guys and to have you interact and engage in real time. So again, also if you have any ideas, leave it in the comments. That's a reason I do the comment stream up here through OBS, is because YouTube deletes comments once streams are over, and I like, as people rewatch this, they can kind of see the discussion we had. But if you want to keep adding to the discussion, please add to the comments. I always try to respond. If you have any questions, especially about printers, please go through them, because I always respond. So if you're watching this, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely, especially if you like live streams, hit the bell so that way you get notified every time there's a live stream on this channel. So thank you guys, as always, for spending your Sunday evening with me. I really appreciate it. If you have a day off tomorrow, congratulations. I hope you enjoy it. Go buy a mattress because it's President's Day, and that's what you do on President's Day. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next weekend. Make sure to check out this channel on Tuesday so that you can see a new video where I play around with some GoPros a little bit and fly drones around some birds and things. It's fun. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.